Aloha, baby! Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own fantasy football huddle, presented as always by DanklyfeBrand. And this special episode brought to you from Hawaii is going to be brought to you by Big Ola's Heavy Equipment Repair on the Big Island here in Hawaii. Shouts out Big Ola. Had a fantastic time with him on the beach out here in the beautiful state of Hawaii. But I bet you all had a fantastic time yourselves last night watching the first NFL game of the season. Today we're going to be doing our startums and situms of the Week 1 NFL season, of course, not including the Kansas City Chiefs Baltimore Ravens game that we had last night. Today, we're going to be discussing all of the startums and situm questions that you should be having in Week 1, but really in Week 1, there shouldn't be very many questions. You want to trust your gut and do not read too much into anything. Don't get too cute in Week 1, guys. It's Week 1. You have 14 at minimum weeks to get as cute as you want to on your fantasy team. Now is not the time. But without further ado, let's fill up our cups, roll something up, and get right into the startums and situms list here in Hawaii. We're going to start out with starting Jared Goff against the Los Angeles Rams in his revenge games. You're also looking at last season, the Los Angeles Rams giving up the 9th most points to quarterbacks on the road. And as we talked about a lot last year, Jared Goff is an absolute menace at Ford Field in Detroit. At home, he's a different animal. He averaged 19.4 points at Ford Field last year. So I'm definitely taking Jared Goff. I'm starting him if I have any quarterback questions. We also got Raheem Mostert versus the Jacksonville Jaguars at the running back position that we're starting. He scored 21 points 21 touchdowns last season and was a top 5 running back last year as well. He should definitely be in running back 2 flex conversation. And I know your first question is, what about Devon Achane? And realistically, we're not going to be worried about Devon Achane. You're looking at how good the Dolphins were last season while splitting carries, similar to what the Detroit Lions did last year. They're not going to change up their momentum. They're not going to change up the recipe that brought them so much success last year. Also, you're looking at the Jaguars defense allowing 13 points or more at least 6 times on the road last season. And 4 of those running backs scored at least 19.5 points last year against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you're looking at a good matchup, and I still trust Raheem Mostert because he must start in my lineup this week. Going to the wide receiver position, we're talking about Drake London for the Atlanta Falcons versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's one of the season's biggest breakout candidates, and he has an absolutely amazing matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers despite how good their defense is. You're looking at them allowing the 3rd most receiving yards to perimeter wide receivers last year, and they had 3 games where they surrendered at least 23 points to an opposing wide receiver, and 1 where they put up as many as 42 points. I got Drake London in the breakout game of his breakout season starting Week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then moving lastly to the tight end position, like I said, we're keeping things short and sweet for y'all today, everybody. We're starting Jake Ferguson for the Dallas Cowboys against the Cleveland Browns. It's not necessarily a favorable matchup against the Cleveland Browns for the Dallas Cowboys or Jake Ferguson. However, I am betting on that 17% target share that Jake Ferguson does boast for the Dallas Cowboys. You're looking at Evan Ingram and Mark Andrews also having the ability to tear this defense up statistically last year, so it's not as if they are an unstoppable force. So that's going to do it for our stardom players today. Before we move into the situms that we're doing in Week 1, I want to make sure I ask you guys to make sure you smash that like button because you have no idea how much that helps your boy out. And hit that subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell if you haven't yet, so you always know when new content is coming out and hitting the airwaves. Also, make sure you check us out on our new platform over on Spotify. Check the Huddle Chat Sports out now on Spotify. And if you're listening to our more convenient audio-only versions, you're missing the beautiful background that I'm showing you guys here at my resort here in Hawaii. But make sure you hit that follow button as well. Like I said, next week we're coming out with a lot more detail, a lot more, all the Huddle Chat Sports action that you know and love. All the editing and everything will be back on point, but we're on vacation. But I can't let that stop me from giving you guys the information that you deserve. Now, moving on to our sit-em players, starting off with the quarterback. I know that we all got the Kirk Cousins hype. We all saw how good he was last year, and we all want that feel-good story of Kirk Cousins potentially getting it done. I'm going to tell you he's not getting it done here in week 1. He's playing in his first game since the Achilles tear last year in a new offense with a new scheme. It's gonna be a slow start for Kirk the Jerk Cousins. And also, he's playing that Pittsburgh Steelers defense that we talked about earlier. That's a really good defense, and they averaged less than 15 points per game to opposing quarterbacks last season. So I'm staying away from Kirk Cousins if I can afford it this week. There's got to be somebody like Jared Goff out there that you can snatch up to start this week. As far as the running back position, I'm sitting Ezekiel Elliott versus the Cleveland Browns. He's not the same elite Ezekiel Elliott, Dallas Cowboys running back that he once was. Last year with the Patriots, he averaged less than 4 yards per carry, and this road matchup against the Cleveland Browns is not favorable. The Cleveland Browns defense allowed the fewest points and the 4th fewest yards per game at home last season. Moving on to the wide receivers, we're sitting Deontay Johnson for the Carolina Panthers against the New Orleans Saints. He's their new elite stud wide receiver, and he's going to be a young wide receiver as well in a new scheme that's got a lot of moving and shaking, on top of the fact that they have a sophomore quarterback who struggled in his first season. They're also facing the defense who allowed the fifth fewest fantasy points to perimeter wide receivers, and they only allowed 1 touchdown to perimeter wide receivers at home last year. So I'm staying away from Deontay Johnson. I'm also going to be staying away from Dalton Schultz versus the Indianapolis Colts. It all depends on volume for Dalton Schultz, and you're looking at, with the new targets, the new mouths to feed, he might not have a very high volume output in this game this first week against the Indianapolis Colts. I think all the new targets, all the new mouths to feed will have a negative impact on his target share, plus the fact that he has struggled throughout his career versus the Indianapolis Colts. He's averaging 7.3 PPR points per game throughout his 3 games he's played against the Indianapolis Colts in his career. If he does not score a touchdown in week 1, he will disappoint. So make sure you stay away from Dalton Schultz. But thank you guys for tuning in today. Make sure you do stay tuned in to that subscriptions bar, that notifications bell, and smash that like button, because you have no idea how much it helps. Big shouts out to Big Ola's Heavy Equipment Repair here on the Big Island yet again. Thank you so much for the support and the love here on the Huddle Chat Sports Network. Thank you all so much for tuning in to yet another amazing episode. And don't forget to always keep your chin up and your attitude down. I'm going to see y'all next time I'm around. Mahalo, y'all. Peace out.